Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today, guys, we're jumping down into the world of Lunar Classic, taking a look at what's been going on most recently with the price action, what we'd expect to happen next, and all that wonderful stuff. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will stay up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Okay, if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, the link is in the description down below, along with a whole host of additional links of things you might find interesting. Everything from 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗕𝗪𝗕, we've got 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗕𝗪, we've got Ledger, we've got Patreon services, the Cheeky podcast, etc. A whole host of different things. If any of them are of interest to you, check them out in the description below. Let's make a start though. Lunar Classic paired up with Binance BUSD, Binance coin. We're on the hourly chart, and Binance is the data source, obviously, for this one, right? So following on from kind of what we were talking about before, we were taking a look at as a potential move up higher. That broke down, that was no longer viable. So we do see this as a potential structured move in here. And basically, you'd consider this from an Elliott wave theory point of view, a double three or a triple three, depending on kind of how you want to draw it up. And what this basically means is that we are in corrective positioning, okay? And there's nothing about this that's impulsive. So I'm going to first of all show you what that looks like, okay? So just so we can all be really clear that we are not kind of trending down or anything like that, and we can go ahead and just do some sense checks, okay? So when it comes to creating impulsive structures, the minimum requirement would be this 1.618. Now you can argue that this wick over here it's gone past this level, okay? However, in doing so, we have to argue that actually, you know, what's going on in here could be a really dragged out long way through, but it would be very unusual. Instead, we can kind of note that this particular area is the end of this structure, and then we have a very significant bounce upwards, okay? And so I don't think we're trending down. That's kind of the gist of this. Instead, it looks more corrective with kind of a double three or triple three kind of way of looking at it. So as I had that drawn up, right, we can kind of see A, B, and C, although those aren't technically the correct letters to use. They're the ones that just find it easier to use here on YouTube. And then we can obviously go and break this down a little bit further. We can see we've got three waves coming up here, and we've got three waves coming down here. Okay, so by all intents and purposes, we should now be thinking about three waves up, okay? So, you know, when we take a look at the stochastic, we've got plenty of room to go up on this hourly chart. That's kind of where we are, but the market isn't really ready yet. So you're kind of seeing this kind of stagnant, kind of slow-moving kind of price chart at the moment. But eventually this is going to pick up, and we should be moving up in three clear waves, okay? So it won't be straight lines. We don't do that in crypto. We don't do that on the stock market. You'd have this kind of at least three-wave structure. Now, we don't know how high it's going to go. We don't know any of that kind of stuff. And because this isn't structured, as in it's just, you know, corrective structures being strung together, they aren't giving us a clear, definitive, singular structure that shows us the momentum and the move in the right direction. Okay, so we're not trending, so I can't give you like a trend target. And we haven't got a start of the next wave, right? We kind of see that happening right in here. So we can't really say, you know, we're moving up, targeting here, then we're going to target down here, and then we're going to go up there. We don't know until we get this first move in, and then we start to retrace down on the second wave. Once we get that second wave in, then we can be predictive over where we're going in terms of the most common kind of levels. Now, of course, if we start trending to the upside, that's fantastic. That gives us very clear objectives and targets to be aiming for. But when you have corrective structures like this, not so much. Now, on that note, we can probably articulate a few things that are going on that's quite interesting within this structure here, right? We are not kind of bear flags or anything like that. That's all good. And we are setting up some interesting levels with this area. So if I can go ahead and just draw on here, we can kind of see that if I were to extend this out a little bit, we have this upper area of resistance that's kind of coming down in this trend line. You can see that we've hit this a couple of times, and you can also see that we are doing the other really common thing with the lower lows down at the lower end of the spectrum as well. Okay, so you know, we could still see a reasonable amount of volatility. Could retest these areas, but we've had two touch points on this low range, and we've had three touch points on the upper end. Personally, I don't like how far away these two areas are. This one over here, this actually happened on the 15th of September, and then obviously this one that happened a few hours ago. I don't like how far away they two are. I much prefer these things to be a little bit closer if we were to really rely on this as a decent piece of analysis. So just be a little bit cautious, expect some volatility, nothing is certain, but on this hourly chart we are looking pretty good. We're looking reasonable for some upward moves, but we're running out of momentum at the moment, so we might just end up with some kind of small retracement and then another push upwards like that. Now, on the 4-hourly chart, where are we? Very similar. We are down in this oversold area. So we're thinking that there's going to be a bigger move to the upside, but it will come in multiple waves. Okay, nothing in singular waves. And down here on the 8-hour, very similar situation, nice and oversold. So for the most part, even on daily chart, looking good. We're looking for moves upwards, okay? And what we're really doing now is just kind of waiting to see whether we can actually go ahead and break out of this area. So on this daily chart, let me go ahead and grab my parallel channels. I'll throw this on here. Again, we're just going to be looking at this like so. Let me actually grab that and move that over. So you can see we are stuck inside this one. Okay, now this, because we are setting ourselves up with lower highs and lower lows, these tend to break. I say tend to, they're not a guarantee, but they tend to break to the upside, not to the downside, okay? They look bearish, but they're actually quite bullish. And we've mapped several of these out over this side, for example, where we saw this happening on the way up. Okay, we saw this happening on that way and on that journey to the upside. And when we see these the opposite way around, these things tend to break to the downside, which I haven't got an example on this chart, which is frustrating, but there you go. So for the most part here, for Lunar Classic, we are thinking that there's going to be a break to the upside, but it's going to be a bit slow to kind of get going, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to see it right away. So, this basically gives us a range of accumulation. We can be bouncing around inside this little parallel channel, and we can kind of be adjusting things a little bit, looking at our positions, accumulating, and then we'll get that break to the upside, in my opinion. But do be aware there's going to be some volatility. The market's very, very volatile at the moment, so do expect things to be a little bit rocky. But, for the most part, if we zoom out, we can see things actually progressing quite nicely, at least on the daily 8-hourly, 4-hourly kind of time frame. So looking pretty good for a move upwards. So, yeah, a lot of confidence to kind of come back into the space. It's going to take a little bit of time. But, yeah, that's what I have for Lunar Classic. If you found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done and out of the way, hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.